No day runs smoothly in the dental office.
Dr. Goldsmith, he explains how it's more common than most understand, with 84% of dentists feeling burnt out. There's a big resign after COVID with not just office managers, hygienists, dental assistants. It's really affecting everybody.
The main causes of burnout, from my experience, staff turnover and shortage, which leads to too many duties being assigned to one person.
Let's all work as a team so that each individual isn't feeling that burnout.
Welcome to a new era of dentistry, the ultimate podcast for uncovering the latest trends, breakthroughs, and real-life stories in the dental industry, hosted by Ashley Bond with Wisdom, along with co-host Stephanie Neville. This podcast will explore hot topics, chat with industry leaders, and share the stories that are redefining how dental professionals enhance patient care and the dental practice environment. Let's get started and reshape the future of dental care together, one episode at a time. Welcome to this week's episode of A New Era of Dentistry. Today we're going to focus on a very, very hot topic in the dental world in general, but I think in dentistry it's a super hot topic, and that would be burnout. Burnout in the office. We are going to talk from an experience perspective today because, excitingly, we are going to have a guest speaker. We'll announce that later, so make sure you're tuned in on social media and following us. We'll have a guest speaker who will offer some expert advice. So let's open up the lines of communication around burnout today and just kind of start unpacking that so everybody can think more deeply about what causes it and what some solutions could be. The main causes of burnout, from my experience, and Ashley and I talked about this a little bit ahead of time, honestly scrub social media to see what office managers are talking about in forums. And it seems to be staff turnover and shortage, which leads to too many duties being assigned to one person, whether it's practice or office manager, even doctors. Check-in, check-out, insurance verification. Everybody has always worn a lot of hats administratively in dentistry, but it's way worse now because so many are understaffed. Just the stress of management in general, poor communication between team members, probably stemming some from that staffing issue. Feeling responsible for the business success in its entirety. I think many of us, especially who lead, are so passionate about the field of dentistry. We like to say dental nerd all the time, and it's true. We just want everybody to do okay and be successful. We take a lot on emotionally. And then last but not least, losing your grasp on yourself because you're investing so much into all of those things. They all kind of tie together. So I think I'll hand it over to Ashley here and let her talk a little bit about what she's experienced.
I felt this from multiple sides. The burnout's so real, not just dental office managers and dental teams, but the dentists themselves. And so reading up on an article here from Dentistry IQ, Dr. Goldsmith, he explains how it's more common than most understand, with 84% of dentists feeling burnt out. Such a high number. And my experience with that, working for my father's practice is, he was always planning to retire at 65. That was always his plan. But the last 10 years were very difficult for him, specifically with turnover in his office, which I know I've spoken about a lot, and then the pains of running a business. So he ended up retiring 2 years earlier than his original plan. Thankfully, he was able to do that, but it was because he was burnt out. And he was burnt out for so many years, held on for so long. It was finally to the point where his family, were begging him, like, please retire, because he just wasn't happy in what he was doing. So just do it, just retire. And part of it is he wanted to make sure, because it's always been a family practice that we were taken care of, but he ended up retiring just because of that burnout hit him, and it's real, and it's hitting so many dental offices. And hopefully we can share some tips that we've done in the practice to help with burnout. It's not just a dentist problem. I think after COVID, it's becoming more of the team as well, the office managers. There's a big resign after COVID with not just office managers, hygienists, dental assistants. It's really affecting everybody. So if it's affecting everybody, let's fix it. Let's all work as a team to work together so that each individual isn't feeling that burnout.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the dentist side of it as well. It correlates with the practice managers too. Even after being in the office and now in remote, we've seen dentists who are posting payments because
Mhm.
they're having such a shortage. They went to school because they're passionate about clinically treating people. And when they take on all of those administrative duties on top of running a full schedule, taking care of their staff. There are so many wonderful, wonderful dentists out there that just completely burn out wearing all those hats. So, whether you're a dentist or an office manager, I really hope we can offer you a lot of insight today. I know one thing in office I experienced that I think helped my favorite doctor ever, Dr. Bethany Guyman, little plug in there. But staff meetings weren't just for meetings, okay? We had morning huddle, but at least once a month, we would all sit in the break room and we would have lunch together and we would just talk about life. You have to talk about the health of your practice to make sure everybody is on the same page. And we'll talk about communication too, communication with everybody. Goals have to be aligned, but understanding people just as the people that they are within your team and your practice makes all the difference in the world in relieving that burnout because you have that familial connection in the office. And I think it even helps the dentist not stress so much because if they are understaffed, they know the people that they have, they know who they are, they know that they're loyal, and they share a common vision and goal.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And some of the most fun times in the practice was lunchtime. We would just do the silliest things as a team. I remember one time we had a wall sitting contest, like who could do the wall sit the longest. And then we would record our silly things like that and post them on social media just to show our patients we're people too. We like to have fun, but I highly recommend doing activities with each other outside of just office goals. Learning about each other, doing fun things together. Laughter is always the best medicine. So, finding ways to laugh together. I think, too, it's really important when you're working with people. And I try to do this. I mean, not just working with people, marriage, kids. I mean, just relationships in general is always assume the best in someone. So, a lot of the times, too, I think what can cause conflict with any relationship is your thoughts that are circling in your head and you're assuming, oh, they did this because they're trying to get at me. I do that all the time, my home life. And instead of just sitting back, I'm like, no, we're on the same team. We have that trust there, assuming that everyone's intentions are the best. And then what's the worst that's going to happen? You might get proved wrong, but I think it's a good outlook in life is assuming that people have your best interest in mind and assuming, trying to have that glass half full instead of half empty, which my father was definitely like glass half empty. So I had to try to bring the positivity to him. Like, what's a great thing from this is now we can train together as an office and let's do role playing together. See how this can be a great opportunity. So try to be that glass half full and find the silver linings in just the events that are going on and with your relationships.
Absolutely. And that's a great segue to talk about the boundaries and having too many duties assigned to you because one of the things that can happen when you're that committed and in touch with your team is you may take on a little too much and not know when to say, I cannot get all of this done, which leads to burnout that you have to fix versus prevent. So, Ashley, do you have any advice as far as telling people like, no, I can't take this or just getting through that?
Yeah, so I need to listen to my own advice when it comes to setting boundaries, but I do think they're very important. So, and I shared this story before, but I'm not the best at boundaries. So, I could be, especially now the age that we have our cell phones like always on us. So, we always have our email, our text, everything is just available to us that we didn't have that before. I have FOMO too. So, if something comes across, I have to fix it. Like, I just got to get it done right away. So what's been helpful for me, setting those boundaries when I worked in my father's practice, even had my second daughter, she was in the NICU. It was like the next day after having her and C-section. So I'm in the hospital for a bit with her and was dealing with work situations and I couldn't say no. So I was trying to like fix because I was, just left as office manager. So like there was nobody else to go to. So I was trying to answer the questions until my dad's like, no, you just had a baby and your baby's in the NICU, like stop answering the questions. So I need to take my own advice, but some tips that I think are helpful is Communicate with the team. What are our expectations? So especially on vacations, weekends, after hours, the expectation really should be there's no work that's being done. So if you have a doctor that's texting you on the weekends, I would have a conversation with them and just say, hey, I really need to focus on my well-being. I need to be present in my home and don't just assume that they understand. If you haven't had that conversation, have it with them. Say, these are my boundaries for off hours. And then for myself, I physically have to delete my email app because I have no self-control to not check it. So if you have your office's email or something connected to work, delete it. You can just download it again on Monday. It's very simple. If you don't have control, delete it and then reinstall it when it's time to work again. Same with vacations. If you're like me and have a hard time turning it off, just delete it and make sure to tell your team ahead of time, I am not going to be available. In my absence, here's where you can go. If it's a true emergency, which it should be very, very rare, if you're getting true emergencies every night, then again, it's time to have a conversation. Maybe what is a true emergency? But if it's true emergency, text me. Otherwise, don't contact me. I'm off.
Yep. And for those of you out there that are in office and think that burnout doesn't happen remotely, it certainly does, because I'm sure you saw me smirking and nodding to Ashley admitting she's not so great at saying no, first of all. And second of all, deleting those apps and not answering the phone, because when you work remotely, and I think a lot of people work remotely for offices, even outside of just a dental billing company, it is even harder when you work from home to shut it off because you're always working at home. So you have to define what your business hours are, whether you're physically present or you're not, but with respect. Like owners, managers, leaders, respect that the people that are working for you have to be their best selves at home, or they're not their best selves for you. And likewise, those of you that need to communicate to your leader or owner, do it with respect and don't assume that they're coming at you because they just want anything and everything you'll give. There are so many different personalities out there, and this ties back into that communication conversation. Feedback is received and given so differently based on personalities. And again, for those of us that are overachievers, it's really hard not to take things personally or even say them coming from a personal space. So, and that's something I struggle with, practice what I preach kind of thing. I'm just so driven to be my best for everybody and do everything right. Like, you said FOMO, Ashley. It's kind of the same thing. And again, I think a lot of people in dentistry are like that, whether you're clinical or admin or whatever. And if you aren't that way, it may be because there's a lack of connectivity with your team. So all of these things they're all combined. They're all related to each other. So what I'm hearing from both of us really is respect each other, communicate to prevent burnout, but also to fix it. Like take a deep breath, really think about why you're about to say what you're going to say and where it's coming from. Is it emotional? Do you have a solution to propose when you present a problem? You don't have to be a leader to think that way. Really, a lot of leaders aren't managers. And the more kind leadership mentality type people you have in an office, the more cohesive the office is. Because as you know, if everybody's burnt out, things can really get wild. Communicatively and tension-wise. It's not good. And it's like this vicious circle. So say what you mean and mean what you say. Take deep breaths. Ashley, I think you mentioned a breathing exercise that you read about.
Yeah, so I have some practical I'm a practical girly. So some practical tips that I think could help everybody. So it's funny, we breathe all the time. And obviously, hopefully, we're breathing all the time, but we're not even thinking about it and connecting that breath. So there's research out there, a 2017 study that what I'm going to call belly breathing reduces the cortisol in your body. So if you're having stress, anxiety, which I think it's just a common thing in our culture to be living in high stress and high anxiety, the dental office is such a high stress environment because there's always a fire that's happening. No day, especially if it's a Monday, no day runs smoothly in the dental office. So this is where belly breathing, I think, comes in hand. You can take it anywhere because it's you. You just have to do it. So we'll practice this together. What I like to do is, so I put one hand, and for those that watch us on YouTube, you'll be able to see. And then if you're listening to this, you can hop over to our YouTube page, see this in action. Take one hand and you're going to put it on your chest. So like above where your heart is. And then you're going to take your other hand and you're going to put it on your belly. And then we're going to take a deep breath. So we're going to take the breath in through our nose. We're going to hold it. And then when we blow out, where it's going to be like we're blowing candles out. Now, why you want to put your hand on your chest and your belly is because we're so used, if you just see how you usually breathe, you're used to this top hand, your chest hand. That's what's going up and down. So that is the shallow breathing that we just are so used to doing. When you belly breathe, you don't want to feel really your top hand move. You want to feel that bottom hand on your belly move. Your belly should inflate like a balloon when you're breathing in. Sometimes too, you'll notice when you breathe in, if your belly is sucking in when you're breathing in, again, you're doing shallow breathing. So belly breathing, our focus is to make our belly get bigger. So we're going to breathe in through our nose. We're going to hold it. And then we're going to blow out like we're blowing out a candle. So let's try this together, shall we? Okay.
Let's do it.
So we got our hands on here. Now let's breathe in through our nose. And so you really can do that at your desk. When you start feeling stress, I feel my anxiety in my chest. So when you start feeling that high stress, when you feel that fight or flight response, so like when you're like just want to jump out of your skin, you're just feeling that anxiety coming up, take a second, put the hands on your chest and your belly, feel the belly breath. So feel the breath coming in through your belly. It has proven to decrease. That is what's getting oxygen really to all the parts of your body. So do that a few times a day. See if it helps. Again, I need to take my own medicine because I deal with anxiety as well. So deep belly breathing is so easy to do and portable. You can do it anywhere. So do that as a team. Maybe take a lunch and be like, hey guys, let's try belly breathing together. And maybe before you start your day, before you go out, everybody can take some belly breaths and then you start your day. And hopefully that can just ground you. So practical tip 1, belly breathing. Another practical tip I have, what's really important to our burnout is how we are doing physically and mentally ourselves. So your sleep, your water, your nutrition is going to be so important. I am not an expert in this, but I do love little challenges. And I do love, especially health challenges. Do fun competitions like that. Get the whole office involved, all your patients involved. You can put on a 5K. Doesn't mean you have to run it. You can walk it. Put on a community 5K. Again, it's, gets the message out about your office, but also it gears your team around health, around getting more steps in, getting your water in, focusing on sleep. You can get Fitbits for everybody in the team if you're practice owner. Get everyone a Fitbit. Have some step challenges. Have a sleep challenge. That is a challenge I can get in on. Sleep challenge. See who can sleep the most in a month. I mean, make it fun. Again, that's going to build your community with each other, have each other laugh with each other, hopefully. Get out of just work all the time, but then also focus on the habits that's going to prevent the burnout. Those little things aren't useless. These can help your practice thrive. So just changing the tune from just thinking about numbers all day and thinking about the well-being of the holistic well-being of your team. So have little challenges that you can do. 5K challenge. Let us know how it goes. A step challenge, a sleep challenge. Let me know about the sleep challenge because I will come in and do that sleep challenge with you. A few other tips. Find a community. So ADOM is an amazing community. If you are an office manager or just an office team member, ADOM is a great place to join. If you're a dentist, study groups. Make sure you have other dentists in the area that you can talk to about this. Don't just be on your island alone. If you don't have a community in your area, you can create one. Create a community. Make it in person, not just on social media. You really thrive when you're in community, like in person with each other. So if you can only have a social media community, but also in-person community would be super helpful. And again, just establishing those boundaries as a team. So sit down, write out what our boundaries are for off hours, then keep each other accountable to them. One more fun thing you could do is just make vision boards as a team. So in January, have a team meeting that's just fun for a vision board. It could be work, personal, check in mid-year, see how you're doing with your vision board. Again, just make it fun. Focus on not just the numbers, but just the overall health of the team. and you're going to end up thriving.
Absolutely. And just prioritize. Sometimes you just have to stop and ask yourself, honestly, literally, is anyone going to die if this task does not get done today? Answers no. I mean, dentistry is important, but the answer is probably no. So prioritize your tasks, communicate with your leader. If you aren't going to get something done, let them know that and why and when you can. Because, like Ashley said, no day runs smoothly in the dental office. You know, we're at the mercy of our patients a lot of the time, or equipment, or who knows, the internet. You just never know. Know when to say, I just can't get this done, and be okay with that. And leaders, be receptive to those you lead coming to you and telling you that, because if they're working for you, you innately trust them, right? It's not about not wanting to perform well. Sometimes we just can't get it all done. I think that's something we all need to get used to culturally in dentistry. One staff activity that you should not ever do together is, I'm going to throw you off guard and mention this now, Ashley, is sunbathe in front of the dental practice.
Oh my goodness.
Our next dental drama story is going to tie into that. So again, make sure you're following us on socials or Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the places, so that when Ashley unpacks her sunbather story, you don't miss it. You don't want to miss this. Trust me.
It's a good one. I got a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, we hope we were helpful. That's what Wisdom is here for, just to keep helping the dental community. We've said it before, and I'll say it again. Even if you are not signed up for our services, we're still part of your team. That's the most important thing, and that's what this is for. So email us if you need anything pertaining to dentistry, admin, clinical, whatever. If we don't know what to tell you, we'll help you figure out who does at info@withwisdom.com. And that's going to be a wrap for today. We'll see you later. Thank you for joining us on today's journey through a new era of dentistry with your host, Ashley Bond. With Wisdom and their network of industry leaders, each episode offers fresh insights and support in the evolving world of dentistry. Subscribe, stay tuned, and transform your career, practice, and patient experience. Until next time, keep innovating, keep caring, and stay smiling.